Perfect. So I believe we're recording. So yeah, thank you. Thanks to everyone for joining today. Today we're going to talk about a introduction to Splunk security, a MITRE attack from security essentials and enterprise security perspective. Some of you might be familiar with some of this material, but it's always good to do a quick refresher. But yep. So my name is Oscar Alvarez. I'm a professional service consultant with Bits.io. And originally, this presentation was crafted around the idea of SLED environments, like state level and educational, type of environments. But this applies, to generally to any industry, any kind of customer. So you can ignore the specific SLED parts, but yeah. So today we're gonna do a quick review of MITRE attack knowledge base. We're going to talk about vulnerabilities that exist in different environments that can be exploited, what techniques bad actors are more likely to implement, and how the attack knowledge base can be utilized with Splunk to better structurize and solidify defenses. We'll identify threats like anomalous login activity, privilege escalation, compromised accounts, and how to align that data with the attack knowledge base. So we'll do a quick review of what MITRE attack is. It's a globally accessible knowledge base of adversary tactics and techniques based on real-world observation. That's the definition from their website. ATT&CK stands for adversarial tactics, techniques, and common knowledge. It evolves as new threats emerge, and the MITRE attack framework provides guidance on how to approach cybersecurity-related issues. And what all that means for us is that MITRE attack framework paired with Splunk helps security teams understand where they have threats covered and where they do not. So this is the MITRE attack matrix. When you go to the website, we can actually go take a quick look. Make sure everybody can still see my screen. So again, this is the matrix. You have your excuse me, your tactics and techniques. So the tactics are along the top. The techniques are basically the tools used. An analogy I've heard is like, the technique will be someone trying to break into your house, and the tactic and the technique used would be, whether they try to pick the lock or come in through a window, right? So this gives you the specific goal that they have in mind and what tools or vulnerabilities they look to exploit to accomplish that goal. A couple of useful sections here. You can go to Enterprise Mobile ICS. So Enterprise, you can narrow it down by operating system or cloud environment specifically. So we could do a little focus on Windows here. And then for the techniques, you have sub-techniques, right? So within each one over here, it expands and it gives you, again, more specific targets or areas to focus on. So if we do something like privilege escalation, and we explain sub-techniques, let's see, sorry, privilege escalation, sub-techniques, right? So you can see, again, within each specific technique, all the different sub-techniques that can be implemented. So that is a quick review of that. Oh, sorry. Go back to. Okay, so from a threat landscape perspective, again, this focuses on SLED, but a lot of those are threats that a lot of different types of customers and environments and industries face. So some of the challenges often faced are like ransomware, which targets organizations due to perceived weaknesses, phishing, acquiring credentials to gain access to environments, data theft, which is like accessing personal information to be sold on the dark web or to leverage other types of attacks. And what makes defending against these threats challenging, some of those challenges could be, staffing and budgeting constraints, legacy infrastructure that could be harder to protect than more modern environments. And again, this last one is, more on the openness of the types of networks that they use, but that will be more robust on customers with a better, higher budget and all that. So the idea with the MITRE attack is to map some of those threats to your data, and with the understanding of how the matrix works, you can start doing some of that mapping and ensure that you have what you need, what data you need to protect against those threats specifically. So, for example, again, on ransomware, the tactic or the goal will be impact, which is defined like the adversary is trying to manipulate, interrupt, or destroy your system and data. You have a technique ID, and for example, one of the technique names would be data encrypted for impact, which is, again, ransomware. Lateral movement, technique would be accessing systems through remote services that are already built into your environments. So this is how you can start kind of mapping that information. So for example, if we look at lateral movement, again, let's go back to the matrix here. Lateral movement, and if we look at our sub techniques, again, you have like SMB Windows admin shares, for example. So you can go navigate through that. Actually, I had valid accounts, actually, for example. That's part of the enterprise initial access tactic. Valid accounts, right? Default accounts, for example. So you can read a little bit more information here in the details, some of examples of actual threats, mitigation processes. So you get a lot of information from here. And then, again, you can dig in a little bit deeper and you eventually will arrive. Again, we were looking specifically at Windows, I believe, here. So, again, it can tell you what the technique being used here, and specifically, right, this is where we arrive at what data you can be looking at for that specific threat. So, manually, again, let's say you start looking through the matrix, you say, I want to, start looking into initial access threats, and you dig in and right, you arrive at this event code, so you can start looking into that information. Manually. I do have a test environment here. Doesn't have a ton of data at the moment, but we're looking at Windows security events. This is all obviously if you guys are familiar with Splunk and how normalized by the TA and everything. So if you're familiar with your event codes, right, you have those here. But once that's enriched, you can see more descriptive information. So in this case, right, we're looking at 2 event codes it suggests here. So 4624, I believe, is one that we have here. 4624, an account was successfully logged in. And with that, you can start formulating some search that could be useful for your environment. Again, this demo environment used to have, a result here where a user was logging in thousands of times per hour, right? So you can start using that information from the MITRE attack matrix to start, digging into some of those areas yourself, but from a more structured standpoint, instead of just miscellaneously or randomly searching for errors or warnings or stuff like that, right? You can now approach it with the structure of the matrix and focus on one specific threat area, right, that you might be interested in that's relevant to your environment. So from here, again, you're all familiar with Splunk. You can be like, okay, this is a great search for my purpose. I can go ahead and save this as an alert, and edit all your conditions here, trigger email sends out with the results or any other kind of I'm sorry, what do we call it? Actions, sorry. So that is great, but obviously as more environments get more complex and you start dealing with more data, you need something more than just like what you can create yourself manually. So that's when we're gonna jump soon into security essentials and how it can help us. But what do we have here? I think just a little review of a couple of other threats. Obviously, lateral movement is one that doesn't matter what industry you're in. That's something that you want to defend against. So again, in this case, right, they're just using built-in tools into your environment or any other option to just move around and try to access important systems or any other kind of information. And then another threat is compromised accounts and privilege escalation, which is obviously critical for attackers to disable defenses and access sensitive data. Again, some of the stuff that we were looking at before, like valid accounts, which they steal credentials to blend in with normal traffic, and token manipulation and cover roasting. So again, those tactic IDs, when you're looking at the matrix, will give you information on what data, depending on your operating system or what's available, you can focus on. So in this case, we can start taking a look into how Security Essentials takes this to the next step, where you can start getting from Splunk the value of mapping your data to the MITRE attack framework. So Security Essentials, again, it basically helps you get started on that path. Security Essentials can have its own presentation, basically, with the amount of different resources available here. But yeah, so basically you can start with finding content and security detection basics, and you can again focus on different areas of what categories of what you want to defend against. Let's see. Okay, that's not ideal. Let me try that one more time. Let's see. All right, so apologies for that. It looks like Security Essentials is not working here. What we were going to cover here would be actually similar to what we're going to look into when we get into enterprise security. But basically, Security Essentials, again, as you saw, we have that, and we can at least take a look at that landing page. Your different categories of areas where you might want to focus, and based on those, you land at a filter, a window where you can start filtering the available searches for all of these different scenarios, and also filter by the type of data that you have for your operating system or anything like that. And you can start getting, out of the box searches that you can start using and test in your environment for these specific threats based on, again, the information available on the MITRE attack database. So again, apologies for not being able to run through that demo at the moment. What we can do is, in this case, we can switch to or continue to enterprise security. But basically, Security Essentials, could be your guide to getting started, or to hit that next level on your security path. When it's a little bit more mature, and it will be a stepping stone into an even more mature level like enterprise security. So again, a little recap or refresher on enterprise security and the way it works. When you have Splunk Enterprise or Splunk Cloud, right, you're going to have your data getting indexed. You get all your normalization from either TAs or manually created normalization, where you have values and field names normalized from all your different data sources. So you can, it starts getting abstracted at that point. And then what enterprise security is going to be looking at a lot is going to be your event types and tags, and the data models are going to look for that information. So again, you create the event types for different types of information from different vendors or different data types. Then those event types get tagged. And again, the tags could be, security, network, anything like that. And then the data models, so again, authentication, intrusion detection, all of those different data models are going to look for the tags relevant for them. So at that point, the information on enterprise security is not going to go and look specifically for index this, source type that. It's just basically going to say, specific search might say, give me all the events from any data source that are tagged with authentication. And that's how the information at this point is abstracted for enterprise security. So it's just a little refresher on that just for the next section here. So let's go ahead and jump back to our system here and hope that we don't have the same issue with enterprise security. So we are in enterprise security. This is an older version just for this specific demo, but with enterprise security 8, some of the layout and terminology was updated to fit a little bit more with the industry. So correlation searches, or name detections and some other changes like that. But the layout is a little different. But in this case, to kind of get started, you go to security contents, and the use case library will be one of your first places where you want to start looking into when you want to start, enabling detections or making sure that you have the correct data for your different use cases. This is similar to what we were going to look into on security essentials. Again, you have your different use cases here. You have a lot of out-of-the-box searches, and in this case, right, you can start expanding some of these analytic stories, and the individual detections are listed here. So in this case, you can see the data that would be recommended. It would tell you the data models and what, if you have information on those data models already, if you have data. So you can start, again, once after everything is normalized and everything, you'll be able to see that. So you can start telling like, oh, great, I have information for this. Down here, you can see a lot of the information for, that's going to come in handy later. But for MITRE ATT&CK, you can see the specific techniques that it will be looking at or that is defending against when it's looking at this specific analytic story. And then again, for your customers or your own use, as you start looking through this, you can go ahead and bookmark them right before you enable them. Later on, you can come back and say, I want to look at only the ones that I've bookmarked that are of interest to me. So let's see. So again, and then over here, we have adversary tactics, abuse, best practices. Again, some good places to get started. But if we go ahead and start digging into this, let's go to adversary tactics. Select this. Okay. Lateral movement. I think we have some lateral movement information here that we can look into. No, it's right here. So again, we can expand that. And we're looking at the data models we're looking for here, right? You have your green check marks, the data, specific data sources. And let's take a look at interactive sessions on remote endpoints with PowerShell. Right, so what you would do from here would be edit. Make sure I have that open here for later. Hopefully we don't have the same issue here. Okay, perfect. So we have our correlation search or detection here. You can see the description. the specific search that it's running. In this case, it looks like it is looking directly at the raw data. We have our event code here. We can run that and test it soon. But down here, this is the very useful information here. So you can see that when a result is generated, it's going to be tagged with this information from the MITRE ATT&CK database. So again, very informative, and it's going to tell you specifically what it's defending against, and we can take a look at that in the risk event index later. And again, similar to what we were looking at when we were creating an alert earlier, right? You can create your trigger conditions here and any actions that you want to take for, let's see, notable events, I believe, risk analysis. Okay, so sorry. So yeah, so we could go ahead and take the search and see if we get anything here. So a couple, I'm sure, again, some folks might be familiar with some of this, but when you have a search like this and you do command or control pipe, it would automatically format it for you, which is a nice way to make sure that your data is readable and clean your searches. And another useful one is Shift Command or Shift Control E. That will show you the expanded search with any macros expanded. So this PowerShell macro over here basically expands to all of this here. So it's telling you to look through all of these sources. And we might need, let's see if we need a index. Okay, so doesn't look like we have any data relevant to this today. But again, you can test the search, you can modify it if needed. I think what would be recommended would be to create a new correlation search, modify that one, and leave the out-of-the-box one untouched. But basically, when you go ahead and get results from one of your correlation searches, server error. And I apologize for my demo not being very helpful today. So risk or notable indexes is where your results from your detections land. So over here, you can see we have annotations. So we have the MITRE ATT&CK, the specific framework, so you can focus on MITRE ATT&CK here, right? On these indexes, when you look at the source for the events, is going to be your detection that created that that event. So it's a good thing to know there, so you can see where some of these are coming. So, but again, you can see that all of that MITRE information, enterprise security, and the out-of-the-box detections have that built into the search. So as you're analyzing or looking through your results, you can specify on a specific, you can focus on a specific type of attack or category or technique as well. So where this would be actually pretty useful to see would be under your security posture. Yeah, let's go to security posture. Great. So we see there's a high-level view of the status in the environment here. You can look at your count of notables over here by different categories or the different access endpoint network threads. So if we actually let's see what we have here, which one we can explore. So so clicking on any of these will take you to incident review, but to that specific domain. Go ahead and click here. Skip tour. In this case, just clicking on incident review will take you to, will show you everything. So you can see all the different notables that have been created recently. So let's go ahead and look for one of these. Let's look for geographically improbable. Geographically improbable access detected. We can expand this here, and something went wrong. I'm very sorry, everybody. I'm not sure why this demo is not cooperating today. Let me refresh this. All right, perfect. So we have that result from that detection, and we can see the original events. We can see a lot of other information here, but again, all of that embedded information from the MITRE ATT&CK annotations is in here as well. So again, enterprise security makes it very easy to kind of have that structured approach to how you're going to defend against threats. Instead of just a wide net, you can start looking into specific types of attacks or tactics that would be relevant to your customer and their industry, or to your industry if you're the end user, and start focusing on it from that approach. And again, enterprise security is going to allow you to do that by doing that from the moment you get started here. So that's a quick review of MITRE ATT&CK and how enterprise security essentials, or even just with regular SPL, you can review the threats that way and start having that approach specific to you and your environment. Some implementation tips. Again, still Security Essentials. It's a free download. Again, this was specifically for Windows data and the audience for that original presentation. But again, don't alert on everything. Again, focus on what's specifically of value or a threat to the environment that you're working on. And common information model, and making sure that everything is normalized is a must at any level with Splunk. This is basically the same type of list. Identify anything that's critical in your environment. Make sure that you're onboarding data from any of those sources or anything that's important. Yeah, this kind of translates to the same thing about having security essentials and making sure that your alerts are relevant and tuned to your specific environment. Some resources, the regular on the MITRE-ATT&CK.org website. This other link is pretty useful. Let me go ahead and share that one. So this is mapping of the coverage that Splunk has for the different detections. I believe the darker ones means that, again, for a specific technique and a number of detections that are available for that specific technique. So this is a great website to have. So MITRE map, splunksearch.com. And this, oops, sorry. Yeah, so I'm sorry, that was the last link on that page. Sorry, I'm having problems with my presentation. One second. Yeah, and there's a very good blog that basically goes through this information as well, getting started with MITRE-ATT&CK and enterprise security and security essentials. Gives you a lot of the information that we've reviewed today. So I would definitely recommend going through that one. So because of my demos being cut a little short, that's all I have for you guys today. Again, thank you so much for attending. I'm not sure if anyone has any questions or comments, and otherwise, that like I mentioned, that's what I have for you guys today. You guys are welcome to chime in, or I'll leave the meeting open for a few minutes.
Can you just share with us the slides, PowerPoint slides that you read from?
Yeah, would you mind sharing your, actually, let me see what the best approach for that would be. Yeah, what I can do is I'm gonna find out. Okay, perfect.
I posted my email in the chat.
Great. Yeah. All right. Perfect. So I'll grab those. If anybody's interested in those, I'll go ahead and share them. If you share your email address in the chat,
okay,
and I will share it that way. Perfect. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you very much.
No problem. Great. Well, if nobody has any questions, thank you so much again for attending. I hope it was of value to you guys, and we will see you on the next one. Thank you. Have a great day.